Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the notification button so that whenever I post a new video, you'll be the first person to know that I just posted a new video because you might need that video. All right, so for today's lesson, we're going to get into some conversion measurements, or conversion of measurements, I should say. We're going to convert measurements. So I have two examples up here on the board. First example, I want to know how many inches, that's blank, how many inches is equivalent to 8 yards. For the second example, I want to know how many yards is equivalent to 7 feet. And when I break this down, I'm going to kind of break it down kind of in an intuitive way because I want you to really understand the concept of what's going on when you see a problem like this. And the method that I'm going to give you now, you'll be able to utilize whether you're converting any unit to another unit. So whether it's yards to inches, yards to feet, feet to inches, seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, seconds to days, days to decades, it don't even matter, right? Even if we're dealing with the metric system. See right here, we're dealing with the so-called imperial system, which is connected to imperialism, which is also a conversation we should have one day. But for right now, we're going to focus on this. But even if we were dealing with the metric system, this method that I'm going to give you, you can still utilize. All right, so first, again, what are we trying to do, right? What are we trying to do? I want to know this blank space right here. I want to know how many inches are equivalent to 8 yards. So the first thing you need is you need a little bit of information. I need to know some equivalencies. So I happen to know that 8 yards, well, 1 yard, right? 1 yard is equal to 36 inches, right? That's something that you should just memorize. 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. If you don't memorize that, at least memorize this. The fact that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, right? 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Now, if you know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, then you can figure out that 1 yard is equal to 36 inches because you also know that 12 inches is in 1 foot. So if 12 inches are in 1 foot, then that means that 24 inches will be in 2 feet, because that's 12 times 2. And then 36 inches will be in 3 feet, because that's 12 times 3. And 3 feet is the same thing as 1 yard. So it is some things you got to keep track of. But again, don't let it get you frustrated. Don't get frustrated. The thing is, once you get familiar with this and use these conversions over and over again, they'll start to become second nature to you. And once they become second nature to you, then the problems get real easy. So I'm going to use this conversion in order to do this problem. Now, let's think about what we're doing. We're trying to figure out how many inches are equivalent to 8 yards, right? Now, if I know that 36 inches is the same thing as 1 yard, right? Then I can also figure out how many inches are equivalent to 2 yards. I would just do 36 plus 36, right? That's 36 2 times. Notice the word I just used. I just used the word times. Times implies or indicates multiplication. Since I'm multiplying, think about how many times I should have 36. 8 times, because they're 8 yards. So again, 1 yard is 36 inches. 2 yards would be 36 times 2. 3 yards will be 36 times 3, and so on and so forth. So basically, all I got to do to get the answer is just because I know this conversion. 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. All I got to do to get the answer is just do 8 times 36. And once I do 8 times 36, and I'm going to do my mental math. I'm not even going to break out the calculator, right? I'm going to use the natural calculator. I'm going to do 8 times 30, which is 240. And then 8 times 6, which is 48. Add that up. 240 plus this 40 is going to give me 280. And the 280 plus 8 is going to give me 288. So that means that 8 yards is equivalent to 288 inches. Straight like that. 288 inches. 8 yards is equivalent to 288 inches. But understand how we did it, though, right? The answer is cool. It's cool to get a correct answer, but you want to know the process. You want to know the process, and you also want to know the concept of why the method that we use makes sense. Because once you know the process and you know why the method makes sense, you can take that method, you can run with it, and you can apply it in other situations, right? 1 yard is the same thing as 36 inches. Once I know that, I can take that and apply that here. Boom. 1 yard is 36. So how much is 2 yards? 36 times 2. How much is 3 yards? 36 times 3. I'm going up to 8 yards. So all I got to do, I peep the pattern. Once you peep the pattern, then you're cool. All you got to do is take 36 and multiply it by this number to get the answer. Now, direct your attention down to example 2. 7 feet is equal to blank yards. So now I need to know, I'm using this conversion factor because I want to know how many yards, right? But look what's different about number 2 as compared to number 1. In number 1, we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit because a yard is bigger than an inch. You got an inch, which is about this wide. A yard is about this wide. A yard is about 3 feet, right? Think football. Think on a football field, how long a yard is, right? But here we're going from a foot, which is about this long maybe, approximately, right? To a yard, which is this long. So here we went from bigger to smaller, and we multiplied. Here we're going to go from smaller to bigger. Now, we know that 1 yard is the same thing as 3 feet. We know that. That's given information, right? I want to know how many yards are equal to 7 feet. So basically, if I know that every yard is 3 feet, right? I'm trying to figure out if I divide this number up, right? If I break this up into 3-foot increments, every one of those 3-foot increments or 3-foot pieces is going to be equal to a yard. So I'm trying to figure out how many of those 3-foot pieces do I have? How many of those 3-foot pieces do I have? Because again, I'm trying to figure out how many yards is equal to 7 feet, right? So I'm trying to figure out how many 3-foot pieces I have inside 7 feet. Because again, 3 feet is the same thing as 1 yard. 1 yard is the same thing as 3 feet. So since I use the word break up or increments, that's an indication of division. That's an indication of division. So I'm trying to get down with some division right now. So what I'm doing is 7 divided by 3, right? I'm taking the 7 feet and I'm breaking it up into 3-foot pieces. That's really what I'm doing. It's like cutting a sandwich. Cutting a sandwich, right? You got a long hoagie or whatever, cheesesteak, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? You might have something healthy, some type of, vegan something, whatever it is. You're breaking it up into 3-foot pieces. And what we want to know is how many of those pieces will we have if we're breaking it up into 3-foot pieces. Now, 7 divided by 3, we know that 7 is not divisible by 3, meaning 3 can't divide into 7 evenly. There's going to be a remainder, right? But if we understand how to create mixed numbers, we can do this problem. So 3 goes into 7 twice, right? Because 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 goes into 7 twice with a remainder of 1, with 1 left over. So I got 1, and you always keep the denominator because that was your original divisor. So that's 2 1/3. So that means that I could break 7 up into this many 3-foot pieces. This many 3-foot pieces, right? 7 divided by 3. So I got 2 whole pieces. 1, 2. And then I got a third of a piece. Because I didn't have enough for I didn't have a whole other 3 feet. I got 3 feet plus 3 feet. That's my 6 feet. And then I had 1 foot left over because it's all together, it's only 7 feet. So I got 1 foot left over. And that's a fraction of the total 3 feet. 1 out of 3. 1/3. 1/3. 1 out of 3. That's where the 1/3 comes from. I hope that makes sense to you. And also keep in mind the setup. When you go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we're doing multiplication. You might want to make a note of that, right? When you go bigger to smaller, we're doing multiplication. In fact, I'm going to write it right here. So from big to small, we multiply. But from small to big, we divide. Big to small, we multiply. From small to big, we divide. We went from smaller unit, right? Now, when I say small to big and big to small, I'm talking about the units. Feet, yards. A foot is smaller than a yard. So I'm going from small to big. Now, that means I got 2 1/3 yards. All right? And I purposely chose that problem because 3 is not, or 7 is not divisible by 3. Right? So I wanted to show that work. I wanted us to practice. I wanted to challenge you to be able to think about, how you would get the answer. But you get the answer the same way. If this had been 9 feet, then it would have been straightforward because it would have just been 9 divided by 3 instead of 7 divided by 3. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. And that would have gave us 3 yards. You know what I mean? All right. So that's about it for today. I hope that made sense. If it didn't make sense, this is the beauty of the technology. You can just rewind, watch it again. If you have some questions, post the questions in the comments under the video. And again, if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share the videos, tell everybody about them, let people know what we're doing over here at All This Math and how we're trying to bring math to the community. And always remember, as I always say, that there's all this math all around you. Peace.